All right, we're going to start the last session of the day before lunch. All right, so yeah, we start out with animal crackers before lunch. So you're going to spoil your lunch. So we heard a great, actually, definition around operational definitions from Ian in Ian's presentation. We're going to get an opportunity to practice that today. It's a very important conversation, I believe. There's nothing more important for the transaction of business than the use of operational definitions. So it's not just in data collection that operational definitions are important. It's also in how we do business with each other, what agreements we have, what measurements we take, how we understand those measurements, how we report them back to people. Those all depend on us understanding what the terms are that people are using and how they were created, right? So what's meant by these following terms? Better, on time, complete, safe, disabled, alive, on and on, right? Or dead. Yeah. So those are all things that we might have different definitions around. Years ago, at a Deming study group in Detroit, someone used the phrase TQM. And Dr. Deming, from the front of the room, you could hear him mumble, TQM. I don't know what that means. And I heard someone down the row from me going, he doesn't know what TQM is. They were shocked. And then, fortunately, the person next to him said, he understands what it stands for. However, it's used in such a way that it has no real meaning. People use the phrase TQM for all sorts of different things that they want to put labels on. Not unlike Lean Six Sigma today, right? We have all sorts of different labels for here's a methodology or a concept or a set of tools, and we don't know, well, which is it? So, one of the questions was, how could he not know? Well, it's because there is no operational definition around TQM. And we frequently deal with terms like that in our lives. We accept what we think is the meaning, not knowing that the other person may be meaning something completely different from us, right? Dr. Deming gave us this example, a law that says butter must be 80% butter fat or more. So one of the questions we arise with that is, can we do business with that law? If we're a producer of butter, are we able to say we're in compliance with a law that says 80% butter fat? How about if we're a consumer? Do we know that the people supplying us butter are in compliance with the 80% butter fat law? How do we know? So we might ask, well, so what's an important question to be asking around the law 80% butter fat? Pardon me? Yeah, so that's a good place to start. Like, what percentage of our butter is butter fat? Now, what's the next thing we have to be able to do to come up with, we're in compliance with the 80% butter fat law? Well, yeah, what is butter fat, right? So let's presume we all know what butter fat is. Pardon me? You have to measure it. Oh, what else am I getting, right? Yeah. So here's some examples of things that might show up in how we define 80% butter fat. Well, how do we know? Well, are we talking about every pound? Are we talking about on the average of every pound? For your purchases during the year? Of yours and other people's purchases, like everyone here in this room? How many pounds would you test to calculate the average? Production of all the butter in a year? All the butter from one dairy? Or all the dairies in a state? Or maybe all the dairies in a region? Or all the dairies in a country? So think about those different options, and what could you as a consumer get when you pick up 1 pound of butter? What could you be getting if we're saying on the average we're using 80% butter fat and we're calculating it based on the production of all the dairies in the country? You could get 0% butter fat. You could get 100% butter fat. Or some people are really enthusiastic, 110% butter fat. So, by themselves, the words 80% butterfat have no meaning, right? Because we haven't defined what that is. We need an operational definition. Ian gave us a good explanation of an operational definition. We're going to get a chance to practice this at our tables, okay? So we're going to look for what's the characteristic of interest. So in this previous example, it was butterfat. However, how we will measure it, we didn't have a definition around that. So we don't have an operational definition around 80% butterfat, do we? However, if we do create one, suppliers of butter can know that they're in compliance with it. Consumers of butter can know the suppliers are in compliance with the law. And it becomes a characteristic by which we can do business. When we talk about butterfat in butter, we know we're talking about the same thing, and we're going to get the same thing when somebody says, I'm delivering 80% butterfat, right? Some people in the food industry probably are, operational definitions are very critical to your business, right? So here's someone that may not understand operational definitions of total. So population 562, feet above sea level 2,150, established 1951, total 4,663. They might need some help around what a total is. So, out of the crisis, Dr. Deming devotes an entire chapter to operational definitions. An operational definition is one that people can do business with. An operational definition of safe, round, reliable, or other quality, or any other quality, must be communicable with the same meaning to the purchaser, same meaning yesterday and today to the production worker. So what must be included in an operational definition? So from chapter 9, a specific test, an agreed upon method of evaluating, testing, or measuring, a criterion or criteria for judgment, and a decision, yes or no, the object or material did or did not meet the criteria or criterion. So we're going to do a group exercise, and we're going to have practice in, first of all, generating an operational definition, using an operational definition generated by others, and then we're going to evaluate the variation that arises due to different operational definitions, okay? So at your table, you should have a set. Some people have already been sorting these things. That's great. It's not a psychological test, but maybe it should be, right? We have a set of animal crackers. There should be 2 forms at each table. One form is relatively blank. It's where you're going to write at the table your operational definition for a defect-free animal cracker, okay? So don't start this yet, but you're going to want to write this definition as a team for a defect-free animal cracker, okay? Then there's another form there. There's a tally form that has a list of numbers on the side. I'd like one person at each table be responsible for being the recorder. You're going to carry this form with you to each of the tables you go to after this. So please raise your hand if you're the recorder at your table. Okay. So recorders, pick up your form. Make sure you have it. All right, good. Do we have a recorder back here? Everybody's got a recorder? Okay, good. Any table not have a recorder? Anybody not at a table that's, you're going to work with 5? Okay, you're a satellite office over there, is that it? Yeah, that's good. All right, so on your piece of paper that you're recording things, please write your table number. That will be the number that's on your table. Write your table number there. Now, after you write your definition of how many defect-free animal crackers you have at your table, you'll record that number next to your table number in the column. So for instance, if you're table 1, you're going to write your number table 1. However, if you're table 7, you have a table 7 number. Here's what my form is, but you're going to record the number in table 7. Any questions on data recording? All right, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes to come up with a definition that, here's here's what's going to happen, though. So it's not just you're going to use the definition at your table, right? Who's done this before? So what's the next step after we write the definition? Yeah, so when I say switch, you're going to just increment your number 1. So table 1 is going to go to table 2 to 3, and so on. Table 12, where are you? Table 12, you're going to come back here to table 1, okay, because there's 12 max. You're going to leave behind your table's operational definition. You're not taking it with you. You're going to leave it behind. When you go to your next table, you're going to read that table's operational definition and then count how many defect-free animal crackers are at that table using their operational definition, okay? So depending on how much time we have, we're going to do this at least 6 times. We're not going to do all 12 rotations with this group, okay? So any questions before we get started? So what are we going to do? What's our sequence? We're going to write the operational definition. No, you're going to write the operational definition. Oh, the definition of the operational definition. All right, thank you. So you're going to write an operational definition. You're going to count the animal crackers at your table using your operational definition. When you're asked to rotate, you're going to go to the next higher number table. 12 is going to go to 1. And you're going to count their animal crackers using their definition. Okay? Any other questions? We're good? Okay, 5 minutes, new definitions. Good job. Excellent. And you were the one climbing on the windowsill, too. Yeah. You're good. You're good. If you've done this before, it doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Drop, because if we say it's got to be crunchy and everybody bites one, then what Robert just brought up is that the next table's going to have one less and one less.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a question about the appropriateness of certain kinds of testing. This is not a destructive test that you're designing, so So tasting or eating is not part of the testing process. Yeah. This is the trouble table back here, isn't it?
Not trouble. Not trouble. That's true for an operational definition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So again, the definition you're trying to create is around a defect-free animal cracker. Okay. Did you get David too? Good. Good. Excellent. That was a good idea. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. Well, you get them more than your share. Okay, you have about a minute left to complete your definition. Five minutes are up. Any table need more time? Of course you do, yeah. I'll give you guys one more minute, then we'll begin. One more minute. Wait. Don't rotate until you're asked to, please. That's too much traffic. Yeah. All right, so make sure you record the numbers of defect-free animal crackers on your form. Please return your pile to a pile of some sort, not sorted. Just mix them up. And then rotate, please, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on, 12 to 1. Leave behind your operational definition and take with you your data form. So you're going to have about a minute at each table to count. We'll move along. No eating the defects, right? You guys haven't moved yet.
Yeah, we did. Our team is right there.
Oh,
Divided and conquered.
oh, good for you guys. We're missing a group from table 4. Table 4, you should be at table 5. We got a bottleneck. Yeah. So leave your definition behind. Count. Yep. Your count sheet. Table 5. Everyone, please stay at your table until we've asked you to rotate again. There's too much confusion with that. So you're only at the second table, so please stay at your second table.
You mean the first one after ours?
Yeah.
Operation define the second one.
Get out of here. Get lost.
Serious.
Go back to your second table.
We only moved once.
Yeah, that's your second table. That's your second table. Okay, we're going to move in 30 more seconds. Be prepared. Sure. Hang on. All right, return your crackers to the same pile that were there. Please go look at your crackers. Make sure they're in a pile. Table 6, return your crackers to a pile, please. Okay, everybody rotate to the next higher number. Make sure you should have 2 figures recorded on your data recording form. Okay? Table 12, you're going to come down to table 1.
What's your edibility evaluation?
I said, no eating. That's what I said. Yeah. So you can't eat it. Maybe it's would you eat it? Okay, tables, Record your numbers, please. And then rotate. Make sure you return your animal crackers to their piled state. Whatever your definition is. So how many numbers do you have right now?
3.
You've been at 3 tables, okay. And this will be number 4. That's good. So my edibility is everybody's touched it. I'm not eating any of them. Good, Charles. How are you doing? Great. Farmington Hills. I used to live in Farmington Hills.
Oh. I live in Woodbridge, 1213 Eastern Middleville on northwest Kentucky. It's the only house I've lived in Michigan. I got in Michigan in '85.
Okay. Wow.
Where did you live?
Wow.
Where, when you were in Farmington Hills?
Just off of Orchard Lake and 12 Mile, there's an apartment complex there. So, very close to the exit. Orchard Lake off of 696. In fact, 696 was kind of in our backyard. We were right up against the freeway there. Yeah. All right, anybody need more time? All right, we're going to 15 seconds, then we'll rotate. Okay, you should have 4 numbers on your form. Please return your animal crackers to their original state and rotate, please. Oh, good.
Oh, I don't need, all I would say is just thank you, and then I was just going to mention there's a couple things that we're going to send out to them.
All right.
Access to the red bead experiment.
I don't have to rush through the last one.
Maybe not, I mean, I can do mine and,
I think it's 12:30.
well, and then we, I can't remember where the,
Yeah, can you find out?
Yeah, I'll
Or
find out. I'll
maybe,
go pull it.
or send Dennis to go.
yeah, so I'm basically just saying, red beads, internet access, a couple of people asked me about learning, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah. All right, return your crackers to their original state. Make sure you have 4 numbers on your form and rotate, please. Right? Oh, 5 numbers. Sorry, my fault. You should have 5 numbers. No, just keep going to the next table. 1 more. This will be our final count, so you should end up with 6 numbers on your form. I know. Yeah. So I went over there and said, everybody's touched these? I'm not eating any of them. That's what I said. Data recorders, when you're complete, please come to the front. We're going to record on a chart your results. if you could read me your numbers, please. So you started at 1?
Yep, I'm sorry, 11. That I run. 2 is 9. 3 is 10. 14. 18. 0.
0. Where's table 6? Okay. Great. Five. Wait. Well, that's what's on your form. That's what we're going to take.
We've already moved past it.
Because for 6, remember what we are like,
Yeah.
for like,
Data recorders, if you're done, come on up, please.
you know what I mean?
It's part of the variation.
You have to do 6.
Okay.
Right? I don't have to do 6, right?
Only 6. So start at 3. Read me your numbers, please. Your table 3.
3, yes.
Okay, so
11, 15, 17, 67.
what?
67. 6. 11. Okay.
Good job. All right. What team are you? You're 9. Okay.
1 was 0. 2 was 11. And then the next one was 9. 7 was 23. 11, 14, and then 0.
All right, for table 5 is where it starts.
5.
Yep. We have 17. We have 32 for table 6. 7 for 7. 0 for 8. 23 for 9. And 12 for 10.
Excellent. Thanks.
Okay, we're at table 4.
4.
Table 4, we got 13. Table 5, we got 18. And then 31. And 8. And 14. Now, we had a problem with table 9. Because table 9 is either 23. However, it said must have Eric's taste test. And since you didn't come over to taste them, it's either 23 or 0.
I'll say 23.
What do we do?
Well, all right. You wrote down 23. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next.
That's
6.
6. 31, 4, 10, 0, 10, 13.
Thank you.
We were table 11.
11. Yes.
13.
8.
8. 16. 8. 13. 15.
Thank you. Table 10. 10. Okay. Read it, please.
For table 10, we had 9,
9,
11,
11,
7,
7,
6,
6,
8,
8,
and 11.
11. Thank you.
Number 7.
7.
We are 7, 14, 25, 11, 11, 10.
Thank you very much. Next. Hi.
We started with table 1.
1.
And we had
You are table. I already have
We're
table
table
1.
12.
Oh,
we're
okay.
table 12.
So 12.
So at our table we had 10. Table 1 is 8. Table 2 is 8. 14. 14. 17. And
That's 30. You have an extra one?
Table 6 is 30. Yep.
You have an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have an extra one.
We got it.
Okay, good. Okay, what table? You're 8? Okay. Go ahead, read them, please.
Number 8, we had 9, 23, 12, 14, 12, and then 15.
15. Thank you very much. Last one. So you're table 2.
We're table 2.
Okay.
And we said 10. 13. 14.
19.
19. 39.
All right, good. So please feel free to wander by here. I'll move this so there's a little more room for people to look at the results. I want you to come up and look at these before we actually talk about them. So at least take a cruise by the flip chart here. So on table 1, we see we have 11, 15, 0, 6, 16, and 8 as counts. Table 2, we have counts of 9, 10, 11, 8, 8, 8. Table 3, 10, 13, 11, 11, 13, 14. Table 4, 14, 14, 15, 13, 15, and 14. Table 5, we have 18, 19, 17, 18, 17, 15, and 14. Table 6, this is fun. 0, 39, 67, 31, 32, 31, and 17. 7, we have 8, 6, 8, 7, 4, 7, and 30. It's over this way one? Oh, I see, 30 for them. I'm sorry. Wow, okay. Thank you. 8 had 11, 14, 0, 10, 14, and 9. 9 had 23, 23, 0, 25, 23, and 23. This is the one that, is 9 the Eric Bud taste test? Yeah, so one table asked me. Yeah, you know what I told them? I said, everybody's touched this. I'm not eating any one of them. Yeah. So they actually got it right? Yeah, yeah. All right, so 10, 12, 10, 11, 12, 11, 9, 11, 13, 11, 14, 14, 11, 13, 12, 10, 12, 0, 7, 8, and 10. So what do we learn about writing an operational definition? It's very challenging. What else? Oh, so people that are going to use the operational definition, it would be helpful. Right? Yeah. What else? Michael. Ask the customers. Exactly. So so one table added a customer to their definition, right? And that threw things way off at that table. So what else did you learn? Oh, it'd be helpful when you're making the cookie to know the definition of what's a defect-free animal cracker, right? Right. So in our results, did we have that occur that everybody understood exactly the definition you created? There are some that were kind of close, right? Say again? Amazing, isn't there? Yeah. What a concept. You should tell us more about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, what's it going to be used for? Excellent, right? Oh. So was it defect-free or not defect-free until you actually touched it? You couldn't actually define whether it's... Yeah, you have... Yeah. In fact, that's what happened at this table. If the very first team had asked me how many defect-free animal crackers were here, I would have given them a different count because nobody had touched them yet. After a couple sets of inspectors had gone through there, I'm going, nah, I'm not doing that, right? So that changed the quality of the defects, right? What else? Wouldn't that be useful? In fact, that's one of the things Dr. Deming said, is the production worker should be part of that operational definition, should understand that. So everybody, yes, Philip. Exactly. So if you think back to the operational definitions that you saw, if you're a purchaser of animal crackers, some of those characteristics, did they matter to you? No. Did anybody have whole as a definition for defect-free? Right? And when you're eating animal crackers, do you care if it's a whole one or not? Some do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was whole when it left. Oh, that's an excellent one. It was whole when it left the factory. In fact, some of them were whole when they left the bag and we put them on the table. And by accident, the people that were setting them up broke a couple. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What else? Anything else? Oh. You want what?
I want the most animal crackers in a box. If I own the company, I
Yeah.
want the most.
And you want to throw away the fewest, right?
I want the most going in the box.
Yep.
So I want crumbs. I want everything.
Yep. You're just going to do by net weight, and it's all good, right? If it's sawdust, pretty much we're good. Yeah. That's good.
We also needed operational definitions of some of the words that were used for the operational definitions.
Oh, yes.
Our group had the 0 for number 8 because they said no cracks. And we define crack as any of those little lines that were.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep. So in writing an operational definition, you can create yourself more problems to deal with, right? Because now I need another definition to use that definition that you just created. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes. 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 Oh, yeah. So a justification for, yeah, I need to be able to say, hey, I'm doing something of value, right? I'm separating good from bad, right? Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
So one of the things, and my colleagues told me we would interview for this, but it's interesting to think about, because our definition was is it edible, okay? We then, if you look at it, is it edible, and you think about who the customers are, then in a way, the broken ones become more valuable, like if you've got a customer who has
Yeah. Yep. So depending on that. So if you're edible and you want to be traveling in your car, you might want edible, not a whole lot of crumbs and stuff, right? If you're the family that's at church today down here and you're feeding it to your kids, you don't care what they look like or what size they are, like stuff the mouth, like you're good, right? Yeah, something like that. Now, do we care if they're edible if we're making something like pie? That makes a difference, right? Yeah. So there's a whole other level of operational definitions as you get away from for what's the intended purpose, right? Yeah.
Does anyone from group 1 say why they put down 0 for the edible definition one? I'm curious.
Because we refuse to taste them.
Yeah, that's good.
But then you also, if you define, like when you go to 6, we put down 67 because we counted all the crumbs.
You counted the Yeah. Right. So there's an interesting exercise that comes after this that would be interesting, I mean, depending on your wonkiness, is take all the operational definitions, look at the characteristics, and which operational definition created the most consistency, right? That's the intention of an operational definition, is everybody using it produces the same result. Whether or not it's high or low isn't really the intent of an operational definition. It's just when I look at it, and you look at it, and you look at it, we all produce the same number.
But if you're getting a bonus for the most usable crackers,
Yeah.
67.
Yeah, that's really good, yeah.
It also has to be good because the way to reduce variability is to define everything as 0, and if you made it so that, an animal cracker has to be 20 inches large and all of us come up with 0 on there, then that's useless.
So, but it depends on what your intent is for that measure, right? What are you going to use the measure for? That really drives how you want to write the operational definition, right? So there's for what purpose, it comes back to a very useful and powerful question in almost everything we do in our work. What's the intent, what's the purpose that we're trying to accomplish, right? So you can't just go out there and say we're going to measure something without saying what's the intention of this measure, right?
Shouldn't you also include a definition of what you should do with the waste?
I don't know, should you?
Well, I think you should, because otherwise it's just going to sit there. People aren't going to pick it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would think you'd want one.
So so some teams produce waste by the way they counted, right? Or by the definition they used. It looked like this definition might not create any waste, right? If you're counting crumbs, That sounds like it's a waste-free definition, right? we got to hit a number. We're out of here. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're going home early today. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. We can return to our seats. Thank you. As a reminder, please take out or use one of the stickies at your table and write down either the request or the promise that you're going to make and of whom you're going to make that, okay? And leave it behind. Make a record for you, but we'd like to see the requests and promises that people are leaving the conference with, okay? Thank you.
A couple things that people have asked about. The red beads, which have been constantly referenced throughout the entire event, when we're going to be sending out a follow-up email to everybody with a link to the red bead experiment that my grandfather actually put on. So you can see what it was like to not only Jim's that he went through, but what my grandfather did. So I think you'll find that very, very interesting, and you'll be able to click on that through our YouTube channel. Another question that has come up is a couple people have said, well, what's the difference between your conferences and your seminars? And the conferences are really about creating that interest, curiosity, and awareness about the Deming philosophy while still imparting some learning and giving you guys some ideas on some things that you can possibly take back and use, that you can implement. The seminars are much deeper learning. It's a deep dive, whether it's the education seminar that David puts on that's 2 days or 4 days. It's intensive and it's deep. The 2.5-day seminar that we have coming up in Dayton, Ohio, again, it's a very intensive, deep, but interactive learning exercise. So you'll come away from that with a very different perception of the Deming philosophy. You'll have that understanding of looking at your organizations at a much greater degree through that Deming lens. So that's one of the differences there. The recordings that you see we've been getting recordings throughout this. They're going to be posted as quickly as we possibly can with the slides. And when we do that, we'll send you a link with access to all of that information so you can go back and watch all the different ones that people have made. Is Tim here? Tim, you were the one that mentioned the light bulbs, right? I think whether you would take it out or not. It was interesting. I don't think my brother's here right now. I asked my brother about my grandfather. Do you know what he did? When one would burn out, he changed everyone in the house.
They do that in stadiums sometimes. So they
Do they?
change them one at a time. When one goes out in a bank, or 3 go out in a bank, they change the whole bank.
Yeah. So, because my brother lived with my grandfather near the end of his life for a while, and I said, really? And he said, yeah, I know, because I was the one that had to go around and change them all.
There may be a difference, too. I have an 18-foot ceiling on one side and 14 on the other, and the lights are up there. So when one burns out, it's okay.
Yeah, and I guess my grandfather was having none of that in some of his ceilings. So he did do that, and he put all new ones in from the same place, from the same manufacturer, at the same time, and then boom, changed them all out. I thought you all would find that interesting. The last thing I wanted to do was, I had mentioned earlier the Deming Fellow program that we have. Ravi is in the back. Dr. Ravi Roy, stand up for just a second. I wanted just to let you know it's a new program that we have with the Institute, and the aim of it is to connect the world of research and teaching and higher education with the Deming Institute and our aim of fostering an understanding of the system of profound knowledge to advance commerce, prosperity, and peace. And so it's been really cool working with Ravi, and as we go along, keep an eye on our website because we'll update you on how that progress is going and how that's working. So Eric and Dennis, thank you guys very, very much. That was a really interesting way to end the conference, and we hope to see you next time. Dennis has one thing to say. He says it won't take more than 9.5 minutes. No. Okay, I'll tell that story very quickly because I know the pizza's sitting there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you. I didn't know where those came from. I know Ian Bradbury was there, weren't you, Ian? Yeah. Okay. In June of 1980, I was I was staying with my grandparents for the summer. My family had moved to California the year before, and I came back that summer to work and to visit my high school friends. And I called my grandparents. They live in this little tiny house in Washington, D.C. off Westmoreland Circle. I knew they had one small bedroom. I thought, could I stay there with them? They said, yes, you can stay. My mother gave me a call in mid-June and said that your grandfather is going to be mentioned on a TV program on June 24th because you know he's been to Japan a few times. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I knew he went to Japan. So I had no idea what he did there, but I knew he went to Japan, and they're going to mention him on a program about if Japan can, why can't we? And she said, I'd like him to watch that because he's not prone to watching television. He liked to work. So we went upstairs that night to watch the program, sat down with my grandmother and my grandfather on this couch, and we started watching the program. Now you got to remember, I'm 20 years old, and they're going to mention, this is different age. We had ABC, NBC, CBS, and maybe an independent TV station. There were not a lot of choices to watch. When a program aired at night and people are watching TV, there was a high percentage or share of audience that was watching the program. And all I could think of was how neat this would be that my grandfather's going to be on national television. So this program starts off, and they mention W. Edwards Deming. They show a great picture of him. And I was just incredibly excited that I had a chance to see my grandfather on TV. And then they started going on some other stuff. And by about 15 minutes later, he was getting really, really antsy at that point. He wanted to get up, go work. I'm like, no, I promised that you would stay here. I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to keep him here for the next hour and a half? And at about the 15, 17-minute mark, there was a gentleman who was talking about the Japanese economic miracle and the American responsible for it. For the first time in about 15 minutes, if I'd done it slowly, it would have been all right. I quickly turned to him and said, do you know who that is? I figured he'd been there quite a few times. He probably knew who this guy was. And the man said, and his name is Dr. W. Edwards Deming. And the thing that hit me was how could I not know because I thought at 20 I knew pretty much everything was going on in the world. I kind of had it figured out, you know. And all of a sudden I realized, no, I had not had it figured out, that this was a whole different paradigm, a whole different way of looking at things. And it changed my life in ways at that time I would never have imagined. It was more at that point calling my buddies and saying, hey, did you see that? That was my grandfather. And they're thinking, no, man, you're a history major. You have nothing to do. That's not your grandfather. But it was an amazing experience to watch that and to see that program take place and then develop as it went along through the remainder of the program. And at the end, I remember turning and looking at him and say, so what happens next? And he said, we're going to go downstairs and get a bowl of ice cream. And so that was an amazing night in my life, and as I reflect back on it now, it's even more amazing as time goes on because I see what the impact is, and that program was very responsible for why we're all here today, and I'm standing up here. So did I do it okay, Dennis?
You did it great. Just everybody should know that video is available on the
Deming Institute YouTube channel. We spent almost 10 years getting the rights from NBC Universal to show that video, and we secured those rights about a year ago. And if you go to the Deming Institute YouTube channel, it's figured prominently there, and you can take a look at it and watch it yourself. So.
my life as it's changed many other people's lives. Go look at it yourself. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. I watched it again, and I can do that anytime I want.
Yeah. So you guys have a terrific. Now, before you leave, we have pizza in the Cedar Room, which is down towards where we ate last night. If you go down there, we've got a ton of pizza, and we have a chance to talk and get to know each other a little bit better. And I see Pat Clark. Is what? The profit equality is almost available. We're getting closer on making that available. It's available for a fee right now, but we do not have it available, I believe, at no charge yet. So we're hoping to have that available fairly soon. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.